Welcome to Two Gents, where two seasoned gents take on the hard truths of life, success, and responsibility. In a world where the rules don't bend for us, these gents believe in doing the work, owning the struggle, and inspiring others to take action. So, pull up a chair.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Two Gents Podcast. I'm part of your host that's out here. My name is Ron Spikes. Ron Spikes, my counterparts, Byron Glass and Pastor A.F. Riggins, have stuff that they're doing this evening. And I just want to say I might be out here by myself, but I'm all right with that. I said sometimes you just got to be able to go in and do stuff, and the show must go on because we feel like there's some information that should be out there. We feel like there's information that's worth it. And you know, these are some trying times. I'm trying to get some stuff ready in the background. These are some trying times that we're going through right now. And not everybody agrees with what happened. And we know that Charlie Kirk was shot earlier. And, you know, this is the first time that I can truly say that I kind of felt like I had to think about the show that I was going to do. You know, we came from Blog Talk Radio, and we had callers that came in all the time, and they would come in and they would spew their knowledge or share their knowledge with people, and we would be on the end of it, and then they would call in batches. And sometimes it was just calling to kind of mess up your lines because, you know, at that time you could be a coward. And your face wasn't out there, your message wasn't going out. So they would call in groups, and and Mr. I'll tell you, this is going to be a little bit different show because I already got people making comments. D.S. Biloxi, I sent several friends a link to your podcast. I appreciate it. We really appreciate it. We're a little bit different than everybody else, and I say that because we started this a long time ago, and one of the things that we said was, you get a voice here, make a comment, and we'll bring you into the show. You can go on YouTube and make all the comments that you want to make, and we'll bring you into the show. We also have a number that I'm gonna put up later, but I want to kind of set some ground rules. No, I'm not. I'm gonna set the ground rules in the way that I need to set them because most people don't understand. If you go into mainstream media, you'll notice that a lot of people are not talking about Charlie Kirk. A lot of people are not making mention of Charlie Kirk. And it's the reason why. It's not the people, and I want to clarify, it's not the authorities that you're worried about. It's the people that have a difference of opinion than you, that they would take out your whole livelihood. They would mess you up. They don't realize that maybe you worked for years and years to establish who you are, and they will take you out. They don't care because it's something that they don't want to hear. It's something that they disagree with you about. See, America has changed, and if you're not paying attention, you could get caught up in something that you really don't want to be involved in. You really don't. And I'll say it like this. I got to say it because the thought came to my mind before I even got on this show. There was a time when I was in the Army, and I was in the school right outside of Garmisch, Germany. As a matter of fact, the school was in Garmisch, Germany. It was a hotel that was there that was hosting the school. And I went to that school. It was the first time they had ever brought it over to Germany. It was I forgot, the Master Fitness School. If you ever been in the Army, it was the Master Fitness course. And they brought it over to Germany that year. Instead of having people travel from the US and go to that course and be selected and all that, they brought they brought it to Germany, and it was in the Garmisch area, and I was able to attend it. But the reason why I thought about that earlier today was because I never forget. I think his name is Lee Greenwood, and we all had went out to a club in Germany that night, and somebody went up to the DJ and they had him play that song. I'm proud to be American. Now, I know I can't sing, but you get the point of what I'm saying, the gist of what I'm saying. Man, we were so proud. We were so proud. It didn't matter if that was country, western, or blues, or R&B, or anything. When somebody just say, "I'm proud to be American," it did something to you because you got up that morning, you put on that uniform, and it did something to your spirits. It lifted you. And I don't know if the soldiers have the same feeling as I did then. I don't know if it would serve the same purpose because so many people, so many messages are being sent out there. See, you have to be, and I say this in lieu of what's going on. They tell you there's certain things that you can't say, that they don't want to hear, that you can't talk about. But the people that's saying it, the people that's addressing it to other people are not the problem. The authorities are not the problem. The government, Trump telling you something, Trump is not going to be able to enforce everything that comes across these medias, but it's the people that hear what you say that disagree with what you're saying. They're the ones that can reach out. They're the ones that maybe be a supervisor at a job. They're the ones that maybe be somebody that you go look at a job and they think about what you're doing. They think about what you just said. They hold you accountable because they can go back and get this podcast and are your kids. They don't care. They really don't. They really don't. So that's one of the things I want to say tonight. We're talking about the killer. And we're going to add something else to it. But we're never going to jeopardize anything out there just like you wouldn't. If national media, I listened to a guy on CBS, from CBS. He was kind of like a head guy through CBS out of New York. And he was explicit in what he said. He said on Urban View, Karen Hunter. The guy said, we cover the news in Queens. We cover the news in the Bronx. We cover the news and everything that's going on in that area. He said the national media covers, they have another part of it that covers the national news. And one of the things, they will cover the news, but they basically, if they're saying it on a national level, because they don't want to be caught up in it. They don't want the people to come after them. It's not the government. The government ain't gonna take their time to come after you unless you, anyway, we're gonna leave that there. But it's the people that feel like the only way that they can get back or come after you is to come after you, your family, your livelihood, and whatever you got going. I'm still under the weather a little bit, but I got grandkids that go to school, and my grandkid come home, and guess what? If they got it, I love on them. I love on them, and I got it too. So I take medicines for it, and I'm checking it out. But I'm trying to stay centered because this guy had kids, and I want to acknowledge that he had kids, and I felt sorry for him. I really do, because just like I get out here today, even though I'm not in the open media, somebody could come attack me if I was in the open media. I remember a time that, now I'm not going to call all the names, but there's some people that can attest to what I'm saying. When Sandra Bland got killed, we were sitting outside the campus. We were supposed to have an open invitation to come in and do a show. And they told us, no, 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 no. I'll tell my granddaughter that all the time. No, 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 no. And we just didn't, they wouldn't let us come in. Because they didn't want to face everything that was going on behind it. So when we get into the show, I want to let you know that we're talking about the killer, and it's the reason why I'm talking about the killer, and I'm gonna kind of let you know what that is at the end. This is a guy that killed Charlie. This is the guy that killed Charlie. Nobody else Nobody else. Nobody knew anything about this guy. Nobody knew where he came from. Nobody knew about him. Nobody that I know was in Utah, because I haven't seen one picture with somebody that looked like me on there. But this is the guy that killed him. This is the absolute guy that killed him. And you know, as I go through this stuff, I think about it and I think about it. Oh, just in case you want to see him again, this is Taylor Robinson, 22 years, white male. Taylor Robinson, 22 years old, white male. This is the guy that killed him. None of the rest of America had a gun in their hand. None of the rest of America climbed up on that roof and had a gun in their hand and had issues with the other guy. We had issues, but we wasn't discussing them. We discussed them in another way. You take. I'm trying to say this and stay where I need to be. You take what he did, and that's not what no American wants to do. I know that no American that comes on this show wants to do that. And I'm gonna frame it like this. You know, we have to teach our kids in a different way than this guy's father was. See, when the police come up to our car, we want our kids to come home. Their kids probably don't. They don't have to tell their kids, because if the police pull them over and they look like him, he's coming home. He's coming home. But your kids, you need to tell them that little bit of extra. You know, when the police come, have your hands on the wheels, 6 and 9 o'clock position. Don't take your hands off. If you go to get your driver's license, tell them, say, look, I'm going to get my driver's license. That allow me time to get my driver's license. And if he say anything, if he asks you anything, we teach our kids to say, yes, sir, no, ma'am. Whatever it takes, just for you to make that trip back home. We covered this on Blog Talk when the police killings was going on. We didn't have no problems talking about the police. But all of a sudden in America, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do it because there's radicals out there that want to make your life difficult because they don't believe in what you're doing. They don't think you should say anything. And I don't blame them. I don't blame national media. I don't blame individuals for not saying it. Yeah, they jumped out there like everything. I almost say it in a different way, but they jumped out there. And when they jumped out there, they jumped out there and they just jumped right on the story. But if you go back and you start looking at all those people that had Charlie Kirk name listed on it, they pulled up. They pulled up. They put that out there, and I guess they made it private after then, because it's rare. You would see this guy. You'll see this guy out there, but it's very few. Because I can tell you, even for myself, as I do this show and I talk to you guys, it used to be a time where I could go on YouTube and I would see at least what my show was about. I would see it flash through on my maybe just on mine, but I would at least see what my show was about. But when I put up Who Shot Charlie Kirk, I guess they thought I was coming out here. They must have thought I was going a different way. I'm not going a different. I'm going my way. I put this out there right after it happened, and I'm gonna stay focused on just this part, because I do not need anything else outside of what I'm doing. I do this voluntarily. I'm just like Urban View. I do this voluntarily. Nobody pays me. Nobody bought any of my equipment. Nobody pays any of my services that I use to get this up on the air. I do this voluntarily, but I do it for a purpose, because I want to make this world a better place for my kids and my grandson. I want them to be able to live in a world where they don't feel threatened at all times. I want them to live in a world. And as I let me look at the time, because I made a promise that I wasn't going to do this. I got about 6 minutes. But I made them a promise that I want them to live in a world where they knew that their grandfather spoke up or they knew that their father spoke up, or they knew that their brother spoke up, that their brother was trying to make this place a different world. And I hate, that's the analogy I want. That's the reason why I do this. That's the reason why I'm coming on tonight. I'm not trying to, it's not that I'm scared. It's just that I don't want the people that really don't have anything to do with what's going on to come after me for what I'm saying. And I noticed that everybody else is doing. They talk about everything else. And you know, D, one of my friends, and y'all know D, she told me, she said, Ron, do you know that there was another shooting in Colorado that went on the same day? Any other time involving kids at a campus would have made the news. I hope I'm not the only one that just got their word, but that's important too. I don't know what's being told to your kids, but I tell you, your messaging must be wrong, because this young man was 22 years old. He had a rifle and he went out and he killed somebody. And the person that he killed just happened to be a friend of the president, vice president, and all the rest of the organizations. So everybody's up in arms. But I need you to know who the killer is. That's why I'm keeping this picture up so we can identify, so we can know who the killer is. We're not gonna make no mistakes on who the killer was. And that's the thing that I think that for a little while, that's what everybody was hoping. But you know what my prayer was during that time? And I got to tell the truth. My prayer was, I hope it ain't somebody that looked like me, because we're gonna suffer. So as I get into this show, yeah, we're gonna suffer. And we're still suffering. We didn't even pull a trigger. We didn't even do anything. We were good little citizens in our house. We have our guns in our house. None of our people was out there. None of our people made the attempt to take this man's life. But you know who's paying for it? So, since the initiative was out there, since they took the initiative and then when they found out, it still didn't shift. It still didn't shift to the person that they should have went to. So I'm gonna add something to the stage. I want to make sure I'm in the right. I want to make sure I'm small so you can see what I'm add to the stage tonight, because you need to see this. If the shooter were black, conservative media would likely sensationalize the story. Anybody who disagree with that statement, let me know. Call in. I don't have the call-in number up, but let me know how you feel about it. Let me know. If you disagree with that statement that I just made, let me know. I'm willing to, I'll take a few calls, but I'm gonna tell you, if I take your call and you say anything that you think that's gonna change where I'm at on this, for once in my life, I'm gonna let you say what you gotta say, but I ain't gonna make no comments on it, because I love my livelihood too. And if you call in and it's not a picture, you're probably not gonna get a chance to talk, because I want to know. I need people to know. Well, if you call in, you ain't gonna get a picture anyway, so you have free reign. But I will cut you off. I'm not afraid of it. Call in numbers 832-856-5964. We're going to get into it in just a minute. And I'm going to repeat this one time. If the shooter were black, conservative media would likely sensationalize the whole story. This would be, oh man, whoever it was, he'll be already convicted, gone down the road, and everything else. But they're doing a pretty good job on them, because I was looking at something today, and I'm going to tell you who my source is. So you won't say it's me. But I'm gonna tell you who my source is. The New York Times did a thing today, and I just want to share it before I get into mine, because I think that's kind of important too. Today, and I'm gonna call him Mr. Robinson. He's a 22. He's somebody's child, but you know, after a certain point, when you get past 21, you can be called Mr. Robinson too. Mr. Robinson made his first court appearance in late Tuesday afternoon in Provo, Utah. By the video from the Utah County Jail, he appeared in front of a bare wall wearing a green suicide prevention smock and showed little emotion as the charges was read. Why are you going to kill yourself now? You did the deed. I don't even know how you thought you was going to get away with it. Somebody asked me, I'm trying to think of who it was. They asked me, how did they find him so fast? It just goes to show you. They have cameras everywhere. When you send your kids off to those colleges and different places, they have cameras everywhere. Right after this happened, not too long after it happened, they had a camera. A camera pointed at this dude climbing down the roof. They had a camera, him walking a little strange beforehand. They have cameras everywhere. So if you think that you can get away with it, it ain't no getting away with it no more. Even if you're on a corner convenience store. I know here in Texas, you might as well show your face and everything because they run 24 hours, 24/7 a day, and the police get access to them. So I'm not saying that to get you away from. I'm saying that so you can understand that maybe the crime that you're gonna commit is just not that important. Just not that important. I'm gonna go on and read this. Judge Tony Graff said that he would appoint a lawyer for Mr. Robinson who did not have representation. His family. And I got to go here. Let me just say this. His family was better off than most of the people that I know. His father was let me just read it. This is from the New York Times. Family's role. Mr. Robinson's parents recognized him in the image shared by law enforcement, according to the documents, and eventually convinced him to turn himself in by 33 hours after the shooting. His mother told the police that her son had recently become more pro-gay and trans rights orientated. Prosecutors say, anyway, that's what his mother said. But his father, and the real reason why I say that, because his father, from what I understand, was an ex-police officer. And a minister. He had other siblings within his family. They had other kids to raise. But he chose, because he disagreed with somebody, that he chose to go out there and act on his own. And of course, this is a fallout for normal people that's out there. Trump administration officials have threatened to crack down on what they say is a left-wing network that funds and incites violence against conservatives without presenting evidence such as network exists. All right, let's just look at this as a whole. Trump says he's coming out to prosecute people if they talk about Charlie. Charlie's podcast and everything that he did when he went to those campuses gave him a voice, just like we're talking right now. And it still doesn't give Mr. Tyler Robinson the right to kill him. He have kids. He have kids that's looking forward to him. He had kids. It doesn't matter. You got to be able to speak your voice. This is what America stands for. This is what America stands for. I see you. I got some comments coming in. I want to make sure I get to the comments. Stella, they didn't find him. His dad reported him. Not factual. I didn't say that they had to go look for him, Stella. I hope I didn't say that, and if I did, I apologize, because I'm reading this from the New York Times. He said that he had a discussion with his father, and he turned him in. And I want to make sure that we get that out there. Thank you, Stella, for pointing that out. I appreciate it. But we're going on with this show, and I appreciate that, Stella. We never not take advice. But I want to add this to the stage before I go there. What should you consider if you strongly disagree with a person's ideology I don't have nobody to back me up, so y'all take that from Ron. And actions before participating in a show featuring them. I want to make sure y'all see this, and I don't think it gives. I'm gonna have to switch my position again. You should carefully weigh ethical, personal consequences, especially. I got to do it this way, especially if you participate. Especially if participating could be seen as amplifying their platform, even indirectly. It's never been it's never been a point in America where you couldn't voice your opinion about something and not be criticized, and not and have to worry about other people coming after you, have to worry about that indirect people coming after you. It's never been a point in America. But now it's at a point where if I disagree with you, if I disagree with anything that you say, I'm not coming after you. I'm gonna find out where you work at. I'm gonna find out your employment. I'm gonna find out what you did in life. I'm gonna dig up your dirt. I'm gonna bring it up. And if it gets you, I don't care what it does to your life. I don't care what it does to you as a person. I don't care what it does to anybody that's your family member. But I'm gonna dig it up and I'm gonna hold you accountable, because you shouldn't be. You can't say anything. I want to go through this first. Why is it important to consider whether the show will humanize or glorify the killer? Because humanizing or glorifying the killer could inspire others and it inadvertently contribute to harm they cause by making them a martyr or giving them undue attention. What's the difference? We see that going on right now. The flags are flying at half mast. I'm just putting it out there. You, like we said, we put it out there, you make your own decisions and you run from there. That's all I can say. How can framing the discussion responsibly affect your participation in the show? Just like what we're doing. If the discussion condemns a killer's actions while critically examining their motives, it can allow for nonsense and responsible conversation. Nuisance help me, but in a responsible conversation that exposes the danger of the ideological rather than validating. You know, you should be able to have a discussion about anything in America. We do live in America, but certain factions within our country, if you say the wrong thing or you do the wrong thing, they're coming after you. Don't think they are. They're not. Please don't think they're not. I want to get through these because I want to make sure that I don't miss. What person and professional risk might you face associating with the topic of the show? This particular show, you notice I kind of put a disclaimer out there. I told you what we wasn't going to talk about, and I told you what we was going to talk about. What we was going to talk about is the killer and him and his background. What we was going to talk about is the outcome of what happens. What we are going to talk about. What if the flip side of this was any likelihood that somebody that looked like me would have been a killer? We're still they would be crucified at this time. They would be crucified. That's the honest to God truth. You can't even talk about it. The president didn't say that you can't talk about it. You've seen people respond and react. They don't want you talking about it. They anyway, I gotta stay on path. I gotta stay on path. BG is on the stage. Let me add him in. BG, how you doing, man?
I'm fine, Mr. Spikes. I have to come and defend myself. I'm not participating at this moment.
Why?
And I'll tell you, and I don't miss my words. I ain't afraid of nobody that whatever. To me, me personally, I feel like there's other thing that's more important. I'm focused on getting people out to vote. There's been many people that have gone the same way, and the praises and all this, that, and other have been given. I'm not concerned about that. So if anybody out there ever listen to me, I'm not on because this is not something that I want to talk about. I'm going to support you in what you're talking about. I'm going to be there with you. I'm going to always. But hey, I want anybody that's out there to know I ain't afraid to talk about nothing. It's just not an important topic to me.
And that's exactly what I was saying. I know that you have another profession that you do, and
But I'm
I
gonna support
respect
you.
that, and that's where I'm at.
But I'm gonna support you.
I know you are. I
I'm gonna
know.
support my
I
brother.
don't worry about that part of it. That's
Well,
what
hey,
somebody else
keep,
is just calling into the show. You know, they may not know who we are, but we've been
yeah.
doing this for a long
Yeah.
time.
I'm gonna support my brother.
Hey, I know that. I know that. I know it without a doubt. If
Yes,
anybody
sir.
else, I probably would question it. But Byron
Mm-mm,
Glass,
mm-mm.
no, I
No,
ain't question.
I'm here. I'm here.
That dude
I'm
ain't
listening.
never stepped. That
No,
dude ain't never
sir. No,
tiptoed around.
sir. Cause Ron, we said it before, we said it again. It ain't the sixties no more. Hey, so whatever it take is whatever it take. At the end of the day, when the
Yeah.
smoke's and the dust settle, we stand strong, 10 toes down.
You mean to tell me you don't know how to do the Potomac two-step?
Hey, bro, I'm learning. I'm learning.
Hey,
But go
I'm
ahead. Go
going
ahead.
through
Go ahead.
some flashcards real quick. If you want to participate, just jump
No, no.
in
Go
any
ahead. Go
time.
ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Keep me on stage. All right.
Yeah, I got you. What are some of the alternative ways to address the issue instead of participating in the show? You could write an open-end participation in the panel with a stricter moderator, or engage in activism that's clearly opposing the individual's legacy. You know, there's so many ways that you can actually get involved in this that it just blows my mind. But Glass, here's what I'll say, and I want you to understand this. I love you. I'm gonna say this on the air, so national media. I love you to death. And I love what you do. I love your activism within the community. I love what you stand for. I love your strength as a black man. But it's not Trump and the people in government that's gonna come after you. It's the people that live within your community that hide behind sheets. Well, they ain't got to hide behind sheets no more, but hide behind other people that get in touch with your family members. They make it, they do this stuff behind the scenes. They're the Karens of the world, but they attack you. They come at you and they don't realize that, you know, it's just an opinion. We got opinions. You got opinions, I got opinions. But sometimes you have to know that we didn't do it. And before I go to the next one, we didn't do it. I want to get through these and then I'm gonna come back. What should you ensure about the show's producers if they decide to participate? Make sure the producers are committed to framing the discussion responsible and not sensationalize the individual. I'm not gonna sensationalize the individual, and we're not gonna do that on this show. But what we are gonna do is hold the person accountable who killed the person. And if it's something wrong with that, maybe national media and everybody else should just fold up their business and whatever they got going. Maybe they should just fold up and leave. Maybe that's what you're hoping, but that shouldn't be the case. Everybody should have equal voice. What is recommended action if there's no doubt that the show's framing of the discussion? Well, we want to stay factual. That's the most important thing that you could ever do. It may be wiser to decline participation, find another way to speak out against it. What the individual represented. I'm not concerned about what he represented. He was a normal person, just like me. He got up every day, he put on his pants. And the only thing that I will say, I feel sorry for his kids because I got kids. I feel sorry for his family because they have to go on. But this is still not about him. This is not about him. But I'm going through these 10 questions. What might outweigh the potential impact of participating in this show? The personal, moral, professional costs of participating might outweigh the impact. And that's what I was saying. It ain't the people that's asking you not to talk. It ain't the people that get in front of a camera that's saying something. It's the people that hide behind the scenes that want to dig up your history, your past, and whatever else that you got going on. And when they do that, they don't care about you. They want to destroy you while you're alive. They want to destroy your participation, your voice. They want to take your voice. And sometimes we just got to remind them, we got to talk about them. Why might walking away from the opportunity to participate be the stronger choice? Because avoiding contributing harm or endorsing the ideological, I can't say that word, and I ain't gonna apologize for it no more. Directly protect your well-being. Yeah, I'm worried about the well-being of the people that's on this show. And the real reason why I got to worry about them because I've been knowing them longer than anybody else. We have got on this show. We talked about people getting robbed. We talked about people being set up by the police in Detroit. We talk about so many things. And this is the first time I ever heard. And I got call after call after call today. Ron, you might not want to do this show. You might not want. I've been doing it. I got the equipment. I might as well. As I told some people earlier, I might as well put my equipment in the pawn shop and let it go. Sell it back on Facebook Live. Do something. But if I got it, I got to continue doing the show. I'm going to the last question. What key question helps determine if participation might unintentionally glorify? I'm not glorifying anything. We didn't say it. How many times have we said it? Nobody should lose their life by using their mouth to express their point. Nobody. I'll never condone anybody that does that. And we never will. Byron Glass is going in and out. I got BG on the stage. He's up here. He's in relaxed mode. So we're still going through this. I just want to get those questions out of the way because it kind of puts us in a perspective that where we want to go. BG, you got something you want to say before I go into this, or are you still out there?
No, sir. Listen to your positivity, and here as a shoulder to lean on, brother. We chopping down. I don't know why this phone is doing what it's doing. I know it's bad. Right. It's bad weather here right now, so that may be what it is. But nevertheless, I'm here.
Thank you, Byron Glass. I need to add this to the stage before I get into it. This is the person that shot the gentleman that you upset about. This is the person that shot him, not us. We didn't have anything to do with it. This is the person that shot him. His father was law enforcement. His father must have had guns around the house, or gave him a gun and I'm sure he told him what to do with. But it's not us. So I'm gonna get into this because this was the whole point of doing this was to show you. Table of contents, introduction to setting the stage, media narratives. We're gonna go on. The incident and immediate concerns. Initial reports and uncertainty. When it first happened, I'm sure they thought it was a left-wing nationalist that had did everything in the world. They had already framed the narrative of it being a left-wing nationalist that had something to do with us. It didn't have nothing to do with us. He was a mega supporter. He was actually supporting the same message that this guy was going for. Didn't have nothing to do with us. But guess who pays the price in the long run? Guess who pays the price? That's all I can say. Guess who pays? Why this matters to the Black community? For Black community, this incident is more than just the details. It's about social responsibility, responses, and fairness in public perception, policy, and justice. See, when it first happened, everybody was pointing the finger at somebody else. They didn't think it was somebody that looked like them, somebody that was raised in a good house, somebody that had every advantage that they could do. They didn't think it was them. They had already pointed to the left. Well, if I remember, and Glass, you can correct me on this because sometimes I get this wrong, but the last two shootings that I can remember from a guy that was on the roof used the same narrative as this guy. They didn't look like us. They did not look like us when they did that shooting. I don't condone what they're doing. I'm not saying, but if it would have been one of us, I need you to know that the perception and policy and the justice of what's going on right now wouldn't be the same. And you need to, Glass, I do want you to address this though. We teach our kids different than other people have to teach their kids when the police pull them over. We've been talking about this a long time, and I haven't even talked to Glass about this. Glass, can you tell us what we have to teach our kids when they pulled over?
It's a whole different ball game, Ron. Things that you see other people do you can't do. The number one goal is to try to make it home. Don't debate, don't rattle, don't become erratic, maintain your composure. If you notice, 3-4 months ago, the young man that was sitting in his vehicle did nothing, got punched, this, that, and other. So I think it's just the luck or the number that you draw at that point in time, because at the end of the day, Ron, you, me, or nobody should have to drive around with sweated palms, and sweat in our hands, nervousness and all this other stuff. But yes, we have to teach a different tone. And sometimes even when you do the right thing, it still ends up the wrong way. Because if somebody was on the top of that building that looked like you and I, they may not be in court today.
They probably wouldn't be in court. Even climbing down, walking home, and going through the woods and all the rest of that, they wouldn't have got that far. And that's something about public perception and policy. Hold on just a minute. We got a question that's coming in. The reality is that black juveniles are shot at 100 times the rate while white juveniles. That's a fact. I agree with you. 100%. Let me read this next comment. Blacks, 13% of the population, are more frequently murdered than all white and Hispanic victims combined.
Hey, Ron.
Glass, you got anything? Do you disagree?
If the respondent can cite the source on that, if they can, just for verification. Not to say that it's not right or wrong, but if we can fact find it and post it, then if he or she can post it, that'll be great.
I hope that you heard that, Liberty. That's what we would like to fact find. So we're not out here putting out the information that's not true. If you could reference the source, maybe before I get off the show, I can put it up on the air. I appreciate you. Thank you for listening in. The importance of the context. Oh, here it is. He said the Bureau of Justice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man. That's deeply appreciated, because we need our people to be able to go out and research. That's Glass. Go ahead and tell them what we do here.
Hey, we try to inform and enlighten and inform, not distort the message and divide.
Amen. Let's move on. The narratives and systematic bias. How we interpret incidents, particularly involving race, can reinforce the bias framing of influence policies and justice. It's what we've been talking about. If you can't see what we've been talking about, that's just the basics of what's going on in the world. That's just the basis of what we teach our kids. Majority of us don't have time to teach our kids how to handle a gun and go out in the woods and do all the rest of that and make them go out and hunt. But some of us do. But even then, we have to add on to what we're teaching our kids, so they can make it home. Because you don't take that into account when you see our kids. You just assume that they got a rifle with a scope and they laying on top of a roof. When you pull them over in the car, you assume that that's what they are. I don't know if I'm telling the truth, class. I might be stretching it a little bit. They just assume that because when they walk up to that car, they already got their hands on their weapon. That's just part of life. And I want you to come home, and don't ever get me wrong. I want my kids to come home, but I want that officer that pulled them over to come home too. So I want you to do whatever it takes for you to be safe, but protect my child at the same time. Because I have to give him that lesson, because I want to see him tomorrow. I want to hug him. I want to let him know that I appreciate him. I want to fuss with him. I want to give him his freedom or whatever, his or her freedom, so they can come home. Who commits the violence and how it's framed, reinforce, bias, expose deeper inequalities, how the U.S. addresses political, extremist, and radical justice. What we've been talking about, Glass. What did Liberty Twitcher just say? What did he reference back to? Who's the victims here? Who's the victims? You should ask yourself, who are the victims and what do they look like? They look like us, because they already assume where we at. Black Glass, help me read that because
Right, I barely can see it.
Oh, okay. Let me make it bigger.
Well, conservative, which one? Conservative media would amplify harmful stereotypes about black violence while downplaying right-wing extremism. Racially charged language can worsen racial tension and incite backlash against black communities and activists.
Yeah, because that thing is there.
Yeah, the print is kind of blocking it.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I can take. I want to make sure that I pay attention to the comments, and the only way I can do is to leave that up so I can
Okay.
see it.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
we're gonna go through these flyers because I don't want to miss. You know, I go through the whole show and I get so focused on what I'm saying that I miss those comments coming in. White extremist scenario: hesitation to label terrorism. Mainstream media might avoid labeling it as terrorism, and double standard often seen when perpetrators are white versus non-white. That's exactly what we're saying. You assume that something that is already a black person, or that they're not like you. They come from the left. Let me just, Glass, I'm gonna take that out because in Utah, I think it's very few of us up there. I know it's some of us up there, but in Utah, you have to know that it's a leftist. It may not, the person may not look like us, but you have to know that. And you point it out, but then you go to the next extreme and make sure that you tie it into something there's a black person involved, and we always doing this. When somebody says something or they make a statement that you don't like Jasmine Crockett or Green or somebody or anybody that's out there to make a statement that you don't like, you always want to tie it back to them. No, that's not the case. We're just like you. We're trying to make this world a better place. That's our goal. Nobody gets up in the morning and say, "Oh, I'm gonna go do this today." Not nobody that I know. Do you know anybody, Glass?
No, sir.
I'm gonna change the narrative. I got my gun. My gun is gonna help me change the narrative. My gun is gonna speak for me. I don't know nobody that does that. I'm not saying, and I never want you to be never say that don't nobody have guns. We have guns just like everybody else. So the event highlights the threat of domestic terrorism that often targets black and marginalizes the communities. That's what Liberty Twitcher just said. Listen what he said. The reality is that black juveniles are shot at 100 times the rate of white juveniles. And he said blacks, 13% of the population are more frequently murdered than all whites and Hispanics. So if you heard that part, if you've seen that part, go to the Bureau of Justice. That's where he said. See, I like his style, as Glass say. Tell us where you get the information from, and we'll put it up on the show. He just made another comment. I told you we was gonna do comments tonight. African Americans accounted for 53% of homicide offenders and 60% of the robberies, although we make up 13% of the population. Come on, Glass. I know you want to get on that.
All right. I mean, it's always fascinating to be in the minority, but anything that's negative, you're in the majority. And see, you can always play with numbers. You can always play with numbers. You can take anything that you want and make it look the way you want to make it look. Because remember, some crimes are underreported. Some domestic violence charges that may go to people of color may not be afforded to other people. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's what you believe and what you see based on your experiences in life.
Absolutely. D, I see your comment out here, and I'm bringing it to the show right now. They thought a black person did it, and then the HBCUs were getting threats. You know, Glass, let me ask you a question. Maybe I need to Google this. How many HBCUs is in Utah?
Not one that I know of.
Good D, is it a HBCU in Utah? Kind of let me know. Look out there, because I'm trying to tie this back, and I'm trying to understand, why did they even think that? Why would you even think that? Why would you think that that there's a HBCU and HBCUs start getting threats? Why? I need to know that too. And it has something to do. This is where we're going with the impact of public perception. Narratives Narratives shape perception, policy, and justice. How violence is framed can influence the outcomes and reactions. Let me just remind you, this was the person that committed the crime. This was a crime. He was booked in for that crime. Not HBCUs. Not HBCU. None of that. Well, this human. Well, I'm gonna go back to Dee's comment real quick. Absolutely, Glass. She said you was right, Glass, and I kind of knew that. I knew it wasn't any out there, but I just needed, because people take that perception and they run with it. I'm trying to get to where I was. Okay, they take that perception, public perception, and they run with it. D, I'm trying to get out of you so I can get to the next slide. Political and racial scapegoating. They use us. That's what we was just talking about. They blame in black communities. Historically, black communities often show the blame or political violence, and even absent concrete evidence, without even having any type of evidence. It fuels racial backlash. Racial scapegoating fuels backlash, which leads to further criminalization of black activism. So if you say anything and you're black and you're black and you say something, it's going to lead to you being, you may not be on the air no more just because of assumption, just because of what they think is a narrative, because of what they perceive as a narrative. Yeah, I'm moving around a little bit. I've been sitting here a little while and I'm running my mouth and I'm still talking. I want to get through this. The risk of weaponizing the shooter's identity. The shooter's identity is used as a weapon. When you think that it's a black person and it's not, it could be used. Harsher penalties. Black defendants receive harsher penalties due to anti-black narratives. That's true. But you heard me say earlier that the guy that shot him, father was a police officer, and his father is not even giving them legal representation. The judge is having to appoint a lawyer as if he didn't have anything. But here's the other thing that I want to say, Glass. This is what I didn't hear. I didn't hear them say one time about who owned the gun. I didn't hear them say that they was going to bring his parents up on charge because they didn't secure the weapon. But he's 22 years old. It might have been his weapon. I don't know. But any other time they would have brought that up. D, I see you. I'm going to get these comments up. Tyrone, I'm getting to yours next. No, Utah does not have any at all. Tyrone, your comment, it had nothing to do with the HBCUs. The racists are looking for any reason to lash out at any minority group. And that's what we've been talking about. That's the reason why I want to cover this tonight, Glass. That's one of the reasons why I want to say, what if it was a black person? I want you to just imagine where we would be right now, Glass. Where do you think we would be?
Wouldn't be where we at, Mr. Spikes.
Do you think the tanks would be rolling down the streets? You think the National Guard would be in every community that's out there? You think that's what they would do?
So I can remain fair and balanced and not make an assumption.
Yeah.
Factually, based on what has happened in the past, we know it wouldn't be the same as the current situation. We know that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Why this matters. An unjust policy and legislative measures. The narrative can lead to unfair legal actions which disproportionately target black individuals and their community, protecting civil rights. This fuels radically charged language that incite against black people. If it was the other way around, I guarantee that would be one of the things that's coming out. D, I got you coming up. Anybody else that wants to make comments, go out to YouTube. I'm reading them as fast as I get them. We're doing the best that we can with them. So he was a publicized and activist, and he spoke freely and openly about who he was and what he was. So there shouldn't be an issue about anyone speaking out about it because he spoke about it. D, I know we 100% agree with you, but it ain't us that's worried about it. It ain't us that's worried about it. I see you made another comment. I want to make sure Tyler is facing the death penalty. Oh, Glass, listen to this. Tyler is facing the death penalty, and George Zimmerman murdered a 17-year-old boy, and he gets no time at all. Make it make sense. We glad. I need somebody to help me understand that. It's no different.
Legitimate
It's no.
question.
Tyler is facing a death penalty, and George Zimmerman murdered a 17-year-old boy, and he gets no time at all. Make it make sense.
That's a legitimate question.
Yep.
Of course, it's going to be related to facts, circumstances was different, and all of the above. But at the end of the day, when you look at the facts and you make the comparison, it's far from being the truth.
Yeah. True. I agree with you on that. And I just want to make sure that we know that we don't have anybody disillusioned. We talked about that on Blog Talk Radio. We have numerous amount of shows on Blog Talk Radio about that. And I need you to know that this is not the first time that we're talking about it. Different circumstances, as Glass say. Unjust policy and legislative measures. These narratives can lead to unfair legal actions which disproportionately target blacks. And we're talking about what if it was a black. We're not talking about anything else. But what if it would have just changed, the narratives would have changed? This fuels racially charged language that incite against black communities. Justice and accountability. We want fair investigations without bias. We want black people to be treated like anybody else within the community. Even though we know that's not true, we want to make sure our people get the same thing, the same type of treatment. We're coming up on 57 minutes in the hour. We've been on the show doing this for about an hour right now. We're about to lose our other medias, but we're gonna continue moving on. We're gonna get through this presentation, and we're gonna go on, and then we're gonna have just a small discussion about it toward the end, and then we're gonna get out of here. We might even do it earlier than that. So I'm just telling Instagram we're getting ready to lose you. I hope we did share some information that makes you just think about things just a little bit different. We had some comments that came in, and they were sharing the same thoughts that we had. But before you get out of here, I need to remind you on Instagram, this is a person that did as we say in the community, this is a person that killed another person. It wasn't neither one of us. It wasn't any one of us. And this is a person that killed him. Always know that. Remember that picture. Remember that face. If anything comes up, remember that. Some things you just have to take and we have to tell the truth about. Anyway, fair investigation without bias. Black people, like all people, have a vested interest in ensuring the acts of violence are investigated fairly. And we need to make sure that we get that's what we're doing. That's what we're accepting. When stuff happens, you can't just assume that it was one type of person. And even in Utah, you can't just assume that it was a leftist. It could be anybody. This is a typical example of somebody just assuming there was somebody that was on the left side. Here we go. Weaponizing identity, using it to push anti-black narratives could lead to unjust policy and legislative measures. We just went to, I told Dee this earlier, and I hope that majority of people that's listening to us agree with me. We have been a resilient race of people throughout this whole process. We've been accused, we've been lied on, we've been killed. We done had everything going against us, but we still managed to be here right now. We're still standing strong. Is one of my co-hosts say? I'm not going through what my mama went through, and I heard him clear when he said that. I'm not going through what my mama. I earned my right to be where I'm at. I'm not going backwards. I'm going forward. I heard that too many times on this show. I heard it backed up. I heard it presented in a way where I could truly understand. And I'm like him. I'm not going backwards. I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward. I'm waiting for them to say Tyler had some mental issues. You know it's coming, don't you? We know it's coming. We know it's coming. Byron Glass, I just made one of your quotes.
I heard you.
And I know that you believe that with all of your heart.
Yes, sir.
And you ain't afraid to say it. And I agree with you 110%. I agree with you.
Hey, Ron, if Liberty Twister is out there listening and he or she got some more factual data that they would like to post, please feel free to do that.
Yeah, they heard you. Liberty Twister, if you have some more data that you would like to present, we love to engage with you. And thank you for posting and participating in the show. D, we always pray we get the same, but we never do. That's absolutely right. We always have to go the extra mile, D. And we're never in a position to hire a person to represent us like everybody else, so we don't get as many mental convictions as you said earlier. Advocating for equal justice, promoting fair and legal process, the need for policing possessions to be fair and equal. We don't want it to be any different. We just want the same same legal process that you go through. We want it to be the same justice that you receive. We want it to be the same justice that anybody else receive. Calling for justice, calling for society to advocate for fair justice. That's exactly what we're saying. I want to get through these real quick. The role of polarizing figures, we've been talking about that long enough. The consequences of speech. I want to get to that, but I want to go here. Charlie had a wife, children, and now they have to suffer because of Tyler's action. That's the biggest thing, D. All the rest of what we're talking about, that particular man took somebody's dad, somebody's brother, somebody's nephew, all over free speech. Let me just say this. I didn't agree with what he was saying, but nobody had the right to take his life. Nobody. And I'm sure that's what we all believe here. We don't promote violence in any type of way. Disproportionate impact on Black communities, increased risk, seeking equal attention. The response for the current incident could signal whether similar acts against Black figures would reverse equal attention, would get equal attention. You know, the Black population is very resilient, and we keep going strong always. We have to be. We wouldn't be here today if we just gave up. If anybody in our race just gave up, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be here today. Anything that we go through it twice as hard as anybody out there. I think that D, you must have read my mind because it said community resilience. We have to keep advocating for systemic change. It may not come, but we have to keep advocating. Important is solidarity. Supporting Black communities and marginalized groups would show resilience in political violence. We can't support violence by nobody on either side. This is a conclusion. Beyond the incident, the issue is not about the immediate circumstances, but how the narratives shape the public perception, policy, and justice. And that's the absolute truth. It's about how the narrative was shaped and how it went about, how everybody just assumed. And by us being on the other side, left wing, they just assumed there was somebody that disagreed with them, but they found out it was somebody that was with them. Who commits the violence and how it's framed can be basically the same thing I got. The only call to action that we can do is seek more equitable future, ensuring fairness, a fairness process, and framing and influence our policy, vigilance and advocacy. Everyone needs to be vigilant in advocating justice by ensuring systematic bias and inequalities are exposed. We got to do that in all things, in all walks of life. Moving forward, it promotes critical race aware and thinking to address the injustice in the civil. I want to get us back up on the stage, and I just need y'all to. I'm gonna add us back to the stage right now. As you look at Byron Glass out there, Byron, this has gotten to a point I've never seen us like this before. I don't know how we got here. Well, I do.
Yeah, we
It has
do.
something to do with the. And let me just say this, Glass. I let it slip, but I'm not going to let it slip this time. And I know you're going in and out. I appreciate it, but we have to get out and vote. The only way that we're going to change any of this and have a narrative where it addresses the left as well as the right is we're going to have to get out and vote. And anytime that you think that your vote doesn't count and you don't get out and vote, you don't get a voice here. Glass, I'm gonna ask you to. I see you moving, so maybe I should just move on.
Go ahead.
You don't get a voice, and your voice that you use here may not count as much because your voice has to be when you go in that election process. When you go through that election process, and it asks you who you're gonna vote for, that's your voice. That's your voice. But if you never get up off and go vote, you don't have a voice. And that's what we try to get you to understand here at Blog Talk. At Glass, I said Blog Talk, or the Smoking Glass Hour, or Two Gents Podcast. That's what we're trying to relate to you. And Byron Glass says it best. I'm gonna let him. If he doesn't get lost, he was laughing at me just a few minutes ago. But Glass, tell him in your own language what we need to do. We're through talking about Charlie Kirk and all the rest of it.
It's evident. I have said this for a long time, more so recent since November, that if you don't see a reason for you to get out and change the narrative, and the narrative is you have to have people that have the same foundation as you in order to understand you. If I'm a well-off millionaire, there's no way I understand a person that's staying in public housing unless I grew up that way. But most of the time, people that grew up that way and they become successful, sometimes they forget about from whence they came. So my position has always been and will continue to be, if you don't get out and vote in 2026 and change the trajectory that we're dealing with, then what you now know as freedom, liberties, or whatever definition one choose to call it, it's going to be too late.
True. If you don't believe that I want to make sure that you understand me. If we're not living in a democracy right now, only one person has something to say that's going somewhere. He told you what he was going to do. He said what he was going to do, and he went out and did what he said he was going to do. And he still continues to change every day. He has a narrative. But we can't blame anybody. As Glass said, we can't blame anybody. We can't point the finger. I remember a pastor used to always say, and I'm going to read these statements, then I'm going to say, equal justice will never be. Yes, sir.
Got a comment. The reason why the HBCU were threatened is the same reason why Kirk was shot to start a race civil war. This is Trump objective so that he can install martial law and therefore justify him succeeding himself after this term is over and squash any repercussion for his association with Epstein. That's a comment.
You know, I don't know who made the comment, but I tell you, you're right on point.
Out of Lake Charles, Louisiana.
You're right on point. Don't ever take it for granted because it's always a narrative that's out there. I'm gonna cover yours right now. Equal justice will never be equal. We have been fighting for years and things are still the same. We're still saying the same, we're still delivering the same messages and we're just going about it a different way. It's not equal. We know it's not equal. We know that this is not a democracy no more. Now, I don't know what you call it, but it's not democracy. But we knew we was going down this path anyway. How many of us knew that there was a school shooting on the same day? I made mention of that. There was a shooting in Colorado. This
Ron, you know you got two hanging incidents that's going on as we speak. One at Delta State University, and which was a black individual, and another one, I forget the state, but it was a white individual. May have even been Mississippi. I'm not real sure.
but they're not getting the news. Glass, I was listening. I said this earlier. I was listening to Urban View earlier, and it's like everybody's skating around this. They don't want to really talk about it. They're not directing their attention to it because of the repercussions of what comes their way. And we're talking about the killer. I want to be sure. I want you to know. We know the incident that was out there, but we're talking about the killer. And as I listen to Karen Hunter, and she had the CBS executive on of New York, and he was just basically saying, sometimes you just have to go with the news. You know the facts out there, but sometimes you have to go with the news that's out there because you don't want, because now it seems like they're attacking them personally. And just like Trump said, he just won a $16 million suit against somebody because they said something that he didn't want to hear. He's shutting people down in the media when they're sitting in front of him. He's probably the most disrespectful president I ever heard. I know it's been many of them that want to do the same thing, but none of them took that road out. They basically answered the questions. So I question Glass. This is for you. Yes, Glass. Thank you for making that clear for all folks. We must vote and stop complaining and do something. There just ain't no way past that, Glass, and I don't care what you say.
Well, it's kind of like this. If your house is dirty, you can't continue to complain to somebody that is dirty. You got to put forth some action, which means you got to get out and clean it yourself.
And you got to clean it from a point of knowing that if they really want to do something about this, they could have did it. Glass always says this, and I don't disagree with him. And we got to stop letting our politicians or Democratic politicians get away, because they got to say something. They got to speak up and stop criticizing the ones that speak up, because you don't have to speak up about anything that's going on in today. Glass, let me ask you a serious question. Have you heard of King Jeffries, Schumer, or have you heard Cory Booker? Have you heard? I'm just wondering. I heard something from Jasmine Crockett. I also heard something from the opposite to show you how I'm gonna give her a credit. What's her name? Marjorie Taylor. She said something about it. I'm gonna give her a credit because that's what we do here. But I haven't heard nothing from the leaders of the House, of the Senate. Maybe I'm wrong. Have you?
Unless I overlook, Ron, I haven't.
So something's got to change in the Democratic Party. Maybe you need to give people that want to have a voice. Maybe we need to vote them in the office, because the ones that sitting there, they just occupying space. They occupying space because if they won't speak up about the incident where the president is telling you not to say anything about it, and his radical people that, I ain't gonna call them radical, I'm gonna call them citizens that follow him, they're the ones that come after you. That's the ones who he gives ammunition to. Let me just say this again, and let me just read these comments. There's always an agenda to the madness. Pay attention. And I'm sure it's an agenda to what's going on. We might be heading into a civil war. But if we are headed to a civil war, here's my question. Why are we fighting, Byron? Who's going to be our leaders? Who's going to tell? They got their leaders. Who's going to tell us why we're going to war? But we can go to. I got to call them out, Byron. I'm gonna do this. we can march from we can march in New York and walk down to where they holding the stock market and all the rest of that, but we can't get those same leaders to speak out about this incident. We can't get those leaders to speak out about this incident. And it was because the law was laid down. I don't never want us to forget this face, because this is what they want you to forget. They want you to forget that this individual is the one that committed the crime. This individual right here is the one that committed the crime. His family is suffering and everybody else is suffering behind him. But I guarantee you, we're going to suffer longer and harder than anybody else. Glass, I'm about to get out of here. I got to make a trip. I didn't want to stay long. I think we didn't touched on the points that we're trying to make. I think we did everything that we was trying to do. I think we didn't accomplish. If there's any, let me do this, Glass, for about 2 minutes while you kind of close the show. I know I didn't leave the number up. If you want to make a call or make any comments within the show, you can do it right now before we get off the air. We might be able to take 1 or 2 calls. But while Glass is talking, I want y'all to listen, and then we're gonna close out this show, and we're gonna continue our life.
Again, Ron, it's always serious business that has to be attended to. 365, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you can't find something that will motivate you to get involved, then you're part of the problem and not part of the solution. Again, nobody on this show has or will advocate violence toward anybody for having a voice, even if you disagree with it. At the same token, because we share a different perspective, what we're saying is that there's 2 sides to every story. There's always information that comes forward. And what we try to do is not to distort and divide. It's only to enlighten and inform. And all you got to do is go out and check the record. Look at multiple sources. Don't look at just the topic that you're interested in, and go with the narrative that the show is trying to tell you. Not this show, but mainstream media shows. Because again, nobody's being paid. Nobody's receiving a salary. Nobody's receiving a cut under the table. It's strictly voluntarily. And it's voluntarily because people care. If you care, you have an opportunity, 832-856-5964. If you don't want to call, you can text. If you don't want to text, you can always email. But at the end of the day, when the smoke is cleared and the dust is settled, until a casket goes 6 feet under and the dust and the dirt is shoveled over you, there will always be a voice, and there will always be a voice of reason, not to distort or divide, but only to enlighten and inform.
Absolutely, Glass. Thank you for that. And I want to agree with you 100%. We got a comment out here, and then we're going to close this thing out. Nope Heaven heard a thing from the Democratic Party at all. We haven't heard a thing from the Democratic Party at all. So we're not the only one that's doing that. Again, the number is 832-856-5964. If you ever decide you want to call in, that's the number. We're going to get out of here. I want to say thank you to everybody that made a comment. That's what it's all about. We can have a discussion with anybody. We can learn to disagree or agree. We don't always have to have the same thing. And as I want to go back here because Liberty Twitcher, Glass asked him to make a reference to where he got his information. Liberty Twitcher telling us where he got his information from, and sometimes that's what you got to do. You got to be able to support it with facts, and that's what we try to do. We don't try to we don't try to put out the news and help you make a decision. If it's our opinion, we'll tell you it's our opinion. If it's just out there, you make your own decision. Go use the research that we give you and do your own research. Most of all, get your own understanding. I want to say this, Glass. It's been great working with you, man. I see you relaxed. I love seeing that tie because that means that you're ready to go. I already got my deuces 2 or 3 times, so I know I'm on a different time frame. But before we go, I know it's rare that I do this, Glass, but I'm going to do this tonight. Father, you know that we're living in different times. You know that not everybody is in our favor. You know that people have their own agenda, Father. Only thing that I ask you to do is help our kids come home. Byron Glass, Pastor Riggins, everybody, D, anybody that listens to this show. I want to pray that you get their kids home safe. I want to pray that you put your loving arms around everybody that's out there. I want to pray that you put your loving arms around Mr. Kirk's family and help them know that he had a voice. He was right in what he was saying. We might not agree with what he said, Father, but we got to know that there's a tomorrow. We got to know that there's a tomorrow. As we go out and encourage people, reach out and find somebody each and every day that you feel enough that you care about, that you give them a word of encouragement, that you will help them go through their day. It may not be what you want to hear that day, but one day they'll look back on your encouragement and they'll say, you know what? I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And most of all, pick up that thing called the Bible and read it and use it. Use it. Don't just read it, but use it. In God's name, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen.
Amen. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Glass. I appreciate you all the time. And everybody else that's out there, thank you for taking your time listening to. I got a bunch of gray hairs on my head, and Glass got a bunch on this chin. So we got a little bit of experience going on here. Probably a little bit more on my end, but because we done been through some things. Y'all take care, enjoy yourself. Look forward to the next show. We might have to talk about them UFOs, Glass.
Maybe.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Peace.